right, listen up. A couple scouts got their asses lost, and we're going in to find them. Hostiles have moved to the west. I apologize if any of you were hoping to see some action. And as an added bonus, we've got a commissar along for the ride, just to make sure we're doing our jobs right. Ain't that fantastic? We're going to be touching down in T-minus now.
All right, you ready to call this dude?
That's what I said.
You ready to call?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm really, I saw it. I saw you, and I was like, oh, cool, it's Chris. From what I remember, it's kind of like a Predator-ish kind of a situation.
Yeah. Oh, it's a total rip-off of, every sci-fi movie you can imagine. But
you know what? I mean, it was well done.
Yeah, I think it's more the look, the editing. It's not necessarily the story, you know what I'm saying? It's just...
Yeah, it's just the way, he went about with the source material. He took it and he adapted it well. I mean, It's not like it's badly filmed or conceived or anything like that. It's well shot and it moves along pretty quick, so there's no stoppages in it, really. So that's all you needed for like a decent, mindless sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
That's some chicks jumping around usually. If if you know like a good story, if you get like a couple hot chicks jumping around with big boobs and like skin tight outfits, that usually helps.
He's got to get that in there, yeah.
Like with laser guns, that helps out sometimes.
All right, I think we're ringing.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh. Yes, my evil plan.
And there's the ceremonial bell.
Hello?
Mike?
Yep.
Hey, Mike, it's Chris. Big surprise.
Hey, so how's it going, Chris?
All right, it's going good, man. You have a chance to relax?
Yeah, somewhat. Took a shower, getting ready for tomorrow's crazy 16-hour film day.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, but that's what you like.
Yeah.
I'm envious, my friend.
Marijuana, and you'll be all right.
Let me introduce my cohort in crime there, Mike. He goes by the moniker Fanboy Will, and he's my co-host for this.
Some people know me as Steve. No, how you doing, man?
Very good, thank you.
Very good.
We're talking to Mr. Michael Fox, and I'll give a little story behind this real quick, if I can. I've been unemployed since November, so I only say this because I've been hitting the Craigslist a lot for the unemployment jobs, and a lot of them aren't on the up and up. A lot of them are scams. You send your resume. There are a lot of phishing schemes out there and such. And I've been into films for a long time, and I've been checking out, like, there's, on Craigslist, there's, like, you can check, like, the crew or the talent portion of the site, and you go in, and there's people. What's that?
Oh, nothing. Go on.
Shut up. Yeah, and the hookers, and the adult sites. And I occasionally looked on there. There's always, like, Mike, he's an RIT student, and he made a short film, and there's other local productions and such that are always looking for actors and crew and stuff. So I kind of checked that out for a while, kind of hemmed and hawed about doing one of these, and I caught on Mike's Craigslist for his student film. So I said, what the hell, I've been thinking about it for a long time, I might as well just go and do it. I kind of was skeptical because it was Michael Fox, and what went through my head was Michael J. Fox. And because I've been looking for work for a while, I didn't know if it was a scam or not. But anyways, I shot him an email. He shot me back. This is when we're going to have our auditions and such. So I went to RIT, where he's a student at, and I drove around the parking lot for I don't know, a good hour looking for this lot V, which I guess actually does exist. But while I was, you know what I'm talking about, Mike?
With E and F for whatever reason.
And there's no sign. There's no visible sign. So I actually...
portal somewhere.
And I even stopped students and saying, could you direct me to...
Crazy guy.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. Could you direct me to this... Could you direct me to this lot? And they're going, what? We don't know this lot. And they're like, here, go up there. There's a map up there. Check it out. I thought I was being totally scammed. But, yeah, I did find the actual building. There was an actual production being put on. And there was an actual Michael, not J. Fox. and he was putting on this film called Vox, a short film for his film curriculum. So that's who we're speaking with this evening, is this Michael Fox. And he did a short student film called Vox. It's a sci-fi film, not necessarily a fan film, which, you know, sometimes we don't cover fan things. No, we cover...
That's debatable.
Really? Well, it's in the sci-fi...
Yeah, it's the 40K, I mean, it's a Warhammer 40K fan service film, as much as it can be without us actually being sued by the company that owns the rights.
Oh, okay. See,
I know, like, this whole thing, I'm an old guy, like Chris here, so I'm not really up to date with the whole, like, news. I don't know if you are, Chris, with all these new games, like this Halo, with people jumping out of airplanes.
Well, I know. Yeah,
but I'm a Nintendo NES kind of a guy. Like, I'm really behind on my games, like 35, so, you know. But I know about this game, Warhammer. No, it's, like, insanely huge right now, so...
See, I didn't realize that was the case.
It appears to be some kind of like a D&D mixed with sci-fi or something. Is that on like the right track, or?
Yeah, I think more of Risk. It's like you're playing Risk, but instead of having like one army guy to represent your army, you have the entire army. Okay, it's a tabletop figure game. You move them. You know, everyone moves so many inches, and you roll dice to see. You know, do I shoot you? Do I hit you? Does your armor save you? Stuff like that. It's a really overly sized, complicated Risk. Cool. But the game's owned by a company called Games Workshop, and they've created this massive, massive universe for that. You know, all these little figures live in. This game takes place in, and it has this just unbelievably huge following, both online and in the real world. But Games Workshop is incredibly strict about allowing people to think fan movies or, this is, our creative material, and they will go after you. So
those bastards. What the hell, man? Some people just don't care, and other people are just, like, so up in arms. Like, no way, they're not going to use our name or anything even remotely close. I don't understand, you know, like...
Neither do I. What we think spurred this on is actually they hired out a professional film crew in, I think it was 2001, to create a 40K Warhammer movie, and it ended in some massive debacle, and people were being sued.
Yeah, that was a German film, right, Mike? What the hell was that name?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Or like an actual
no, the
Hollywood budget. Oh, okay.
It was like a hugely budgeted, professionally done fan film. It was they actually solicited the rights and everything, but that ended in failure, and ever since, they've been up in arms. They sued Blizzard over creative rights because the Zerg look a lot like an alien race in their game, and actually won that suit, so they're known to be very vicious about these things.
Imagine that court case, how funny that must have been. So what exactly is the reason here? Well, it seems that their alien race was way too similar to our alien race. Why would you say that? Because they're aliens. What color is their skin? Green? Are they from Earth? No. Okay, they're both green
aliens. This is obviously infringing upon Games Workshop multi-trillion-dollar rights.
Both dorks? Yes. I am too, so I can't go quote anybody a dork. I'm a huge dork. Comic guy. But I like the sci-fi too, so I can hang like nuts, you know what I'm saying? So good. Yeah. All right, man. So back, I'm just going off on a stupid caffeine-fueled tangent right now. I don't know what's going on. Chris, you got to stop me.
I can't.
Chris, help me out, please.
Yeah.
Because I say something like that, it's just completely...
Well, it's not like they're doing anything with the Warhammer license, right? They're not making a film or anything of it. What are they doing of it? Nothing.
Actually, they are. They're making one of those like super high-end CG movies.
It's like an Avatar kind of a deal.
Not that realistic. It's still animated, but it's that really high-end.
That's something that's going to be like in production for the next 20 years. Like the Spider-Man movies, right? That's pretty much how it goes. Why don't you give us a little background as far as what got you into film and geekdom and got you out here to RIT? He's around your neck of the woods, Fanboy Will.
No, he's closer to where I am?
Yeah, well, not right now, but where you originated from. Well, what got you?
Okay, where are you from?
Yeah, I live down Long Island, about 60 miles outside of New York.
What area are you in Long Island?
No, I'm near Riverhead.
Oh, okay. I'm in Oyster Bay. I don't know if you know.
Okay, yeah, I know that.
The area. Yeah, I used to go through your way to go to my girlfriend's house at the end of the island, so I'm familiar with Riverhead, so that's cool.
Yeah,
it's Long Island, so fellow Long Islander.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good times. But actually, originally was planning to be a plastic surgeon, and I was looking around, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend 10 years before I actually even get to do anything.
That's a good idea.
So I've always been artistic, and I was like, I'm really interested in special effects, so I'll go to school to be a special effects artist. Then it turns out that no one really offers a special effects degree, especially not technical schools like RIT. So I've been leaning more towards being a producer, and no one was producing sci-fi films. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to write up my own sci-fi film. I'm going to make my own damn sci-fi film. So one night at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I just wrote up this retarded little like 6-page script, and then it was all downhill from there. We revised the script, and we were like, hey, let's make this into a movie, and we did.
That is the happy accident that is Vox.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun doing it, like a lot more than I thought was actually gonna have.
Plus, you got the tall guy to be in your movie there.
Yes, Chris. Well, I can't even remember. I think Chris was like the third or fourth guy to come to the auditions. He walks in and he fills out our actor sheet. Shakes everyone's hands. You can tell him what's going on. And basically was like, I don't really care if I get a part. I just want you to kill me somewhere within your film.
Yes, that would be Chris.
Yeah, he just like writes red shirt on the paper. I'm like, you can do
freaking weirdo.
Pickings are slim, so they let me in. What the hell?
Yeah, it was fun though. Chris, why don't you Chris, you were there that first wonderful day in what was it?
It was February.
February?
Yeah, first couple weeks in February. It was like 10 degrees out.
Yeah, first week of February. Yikes. Yeah, it was 10 degrees out when we weren't on the lake.
Right.
Opening shot of the movie, we decided that we want to shoot on Lake Ontario on the ice sheets because the rim of the lake freezes up. And we were there the day before, making sure everything was where it was supposed to be. And it was like 30, no wind, beautiful. We're like, all right, this opening shot's going to go off without a hitch. Chris, how was it that first day?
Oh, it was cold, dude. Your poor cameraman was putting his hands down in front of his pants and jumping up and down. He didn't have any gloves on or anything, and he was holding the camera. I felt sorry for him, but it was damn cold.
Wow. Well, we get out there, and it starts snowing. It's like 30-mile-an-hour winds off the lake. It's like -10. Our camera, literally the chip inside the camera that records the image started freezing up. Wow. We had some issues in post where the camera would just jump a couple of frames. Because it was so cold it couldn't remember what was actually happening.
Yeah, I believe it. But it looked good.
And it was once we got the spaceship composited in, it actually looked pretty phenomenal. We were surprised. It was worth it.
Now, who did that? Who did that little thing in the beginning there with the ship?
Yeah, one of my friends, Mark Sniffen, who was a senior at RIT last year, he is an effects major, and I helped him out the year prior on his senior thesis film, which never actually got made. He got denied for some really lame reasons. And he was doing this crazy sci-fi spaceship, starship, fighter movie, and that's all he was doing was making these spaceships, and we were green screening in the cockpits. And my job on set was to shake the cockpit up and down. There was a bar, and I would shake it, on the cue and stuff. Right. And I got contacted him. I showed him our script, and I was like, we're going to do this spaceship in the opening shot. And originally, it called for the spaceship to be like a mile down the beach. There's going to be this little tiny thing in the background that takes off. And you're like, yeah, it's a really cool little tiny effect. So I give Mark the footage, and he shows me the raw composite, which was just this kind of drawn-in black and white spaceship. And it's huge, taking up like 3/4 of the screen. And it looks phenomenal. And we were all like, holy crap. Can we just loop the first 15 seconds of this movie and not see the entirety of it? And it, like, compared to, it sells the opening of the movie. Like, oh, okay, this actually isn't, some lame bunch of dudes walking around and, with Nerf guns and jumpsuits like we actually were. It's actually pretty legit.
They talk about that, too.
That was pretty impressive stuff.
I mean, he's not kidding.
I just interrupted Chris again.
How rude! Damn it! I mean, he actually used, those were actually Nerf guns. And he,
cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually went on eBay and you got retro, like World War II, perhaps World War I helmets and jumpsuits and old-time props.
Our budget wasn't as big as I would have liked it to, but that's okay. So our costumes were the best we could do with what we had. We had, like World War II jumpsuits, and we got a bunch of actual World War II helmets from like Poland or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Then we painted up all of our Nerf guns and grinded off all the Nerf symbols, and we did the best we could, make it look kind of real. And we got a little bit of flack at our spring screening of the movie about costumes not being entirely believable and all that, but for the amount of money we put into this movie, it was I was okay with it.
Well, it was a retro feel. So kind of, which made it
retro meets the future.
That was the comment. It's like I feel like these are World War II soldiers walking on some foreign planet. And I was like, well, that's kind of what we wrote in the description when we were, devising this. That's what we kind of were going for.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, we've seen a lot of fan films like that where they use old stuff, kind of to make it look futuristic.
It's cheap enough.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But you do everything the right way, it really shouldn't matter, how new the guns are, or how real they are. I mean, like, if you think about it, all these supposed really big fan films and really, all these other, like, things that are going on, like, all they're really using is airsoft. Those are, like, $30 guns. So they're really not that expensive. Like, you can have a pretty realistic arsenal, like all these, like, big, gigantic guns that they have in these movies, and they're really not that expensive. They probably more like $20 more than a Nerf gun, or $10 more,
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're really not using anything that far superior to anything you really find.
Okay. We looked into using airsoft, and airsoft just, we didn't want to go for, like, a modern, like an MP4 or anything.
Right, you wanted to go kind of like a gun that may not look like it's necessarily military issue.
Nerf guns have that just distinct futuristic bulk, unnecessary bulk to them.
They do.
We could use those. That looks cool.
Yeah, for your film, I don't think airsoft would have worked.
Fine.
Yeah, and when you look at some of the composited shots, especially the only guns only really do shoot in the night sequences. But if you look at the one action night sequence, the way the gun itself is with the fake light and the fake bullets, it looks believable and it sounds believable. And we were okay with that. Yes, most people who know what a Nerf recon gun looks like, and they'll say, hey, wait, you only spray painted a Nerf gun.
Right.
But for the other 90% of...
Right, exactly.
No, they're never going to know.
Yeah, my wife who watches it, she doesn't know what the fuck... what the hell a Nerf gun is, or, she just, okay, wow, that's pretty cool, She doesn't know.
Look at that space gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for the next film, for the next science fiction film we're working on, we've taken all these issues that have been brought up to us by my critics, my teachers, and my fellow peers, and we've been seriously addressing them and, devising ways around them. So,
but I mean, I went to art school and I had to deal with constructive criticism, so I can understand, how it is probably in film school. It's probably the same thing.
Yeah, it gets a little rough. I mean, when we had our premiere screening, it's in front of the entirety of the film school and all of the professors. At the end, you have to go up there and get chewed out and praised at the same time. So we had the full spectrum. People were like, oh, wow, the effects were so cool. Then one teacher was like, well, your main character was too stupid. I didn't like him. I'm like, well...
Really? Which one?
Written in like that for a reason. I'm not a scriptwriter, if you haven't noticed. I'm an effects major and a producer. The fact that we made this film, not that the script is anything fantastic.
Was that Ken's character?
The character's far too stupid.
Yeah. Was that the connoisseur?
Yeah, the Commissar.
Yeah, Commissar.
Who's played by Ken Dower.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Again, like, someone was like, oh, well, the acting is kind of subpar. I'm like, I'm not a director. There's a good reason. Also, it was 10 outside. Can you give these guys some credit? They were walking around.
Find anything else?
What about the scouts?
Nope. Now, course of action, Sarge.
We dig in here.
No. Form a defensive perimeter in the woods. Sir, yes, sir. The last thing I want is to be caught off guard. May I remind you, Sergeant, who is in charge here?
It's this one long shot where the guys are just before we called lunch. We're walking back, and I'm like, wait, there's this giant open golf course field. Everyone run out into it and just walk across it. And everyone's like, really? Really? You want us to go do that now, of all times? And it looks fantastic. I'm like, give these guys some credit. They're trumping around in this freezing weather in jumpsuits. Not even like, they're wearing coats and stuff. Just in jumpsuits and like long underwear with some, Nerf guns being yelled at by me. And you guys went through the mill.
But that way, I was telling Fanboy Will before we gave you a call. That's what you were going for. You were basically learning your craft, not necessarily the acting skills, because none of us are really actors except for Ken and Al. But you were just going for a certain look. You were looking for the cinematography. You weren't certainly going for the acting portion. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but I totally understand.
No, but that's the beauty of this. This is a step. This is like I look at this as a major stepping stone towards the next movie, which is, I don't mean to change the subject at all, but like going towards my senior thesis film, which basically the entirety of the major components, key players in the crew of Vox are been shuffled around into their proper positions for this thesis film. Mm-hmm. Our script wasn't written by me. I came up with the original idea and plot points and gave it to Steve Lawson, who was one of our extras in Vox, and he's a good friend of mine. He's a fantastic animator. And I was like, Steve, you're good at writing scripts. Write a script for this. And originally it was like a 20-page idea, and he's made it into this 60-page monstrosity that is so involving. It's basically a futuristic trench warfare drama. It's like this coming-of-age, like this self-recognition story, not really a coming-of-age. It's about a medic who's afraid of dying. He doesn't understand what death is or anything, and it's the story of him coming to terms with what death might be through these different characters, and what he eventually realizes and what he does with what he comes to understand. So I didn't write it. Thank God. The script is beautiful. The speech is realistic, and we have interesting, involving characters. That's great. Now we have to, direct this thing. Am I directing it? God, no. Thank you. Emily Sauty, who was our assistant director for Vox, she's my my girlfriend of almost 2 years now, and she's all about drama and actually getting actors to emote and act and all that. And she's already won awards with some of her little short films and stuff. She's directing this. Great. So script's good. Our acting will be on a much higher level. I'm producing. I'm being a special effects supervisor. Exactly where I should be doing what I want to do. And Steve Lawson's our art director. So we have this fantastic animator doing our concept art, drawing up what our costumes are going to look like, and everyone who should be doing what they need to be doing is doing it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot better. Cool, man. It'll be cool to see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be good to see it get done. That's always good, right? The completion. We're budgeted at $20,000. Cool. I spent $1,200 on everything. So not too bad. We're having a lot more money to spend on costumes and effects and all that jazz. And Chris's trailer on the site.
What's that?
Yeah.
Chris's trailer.
Oh, yeah, you got to pay me for that.
Yeah.
Pay advertisement. Okay, I got to pay for my website, too.
Cuban cigars and bourbon.
That's perfectly acceptable. I don't even need Cuban cigars. I don't need bourbon.
Brandy.
Yeah, just some cheap
bourbon.
Some cheap beer and a couple cigarettes. That'll work out. I have to say, yeah, pretty much. That's why we do this, and Mike does what he does.
Exactly.
They were very organized. I was just going to say there's a local dude in Buffalo who's actually shooting a film, which I'm actually going to be in. And we were talking, and I mentioned you and your film, and he's probably got he's got some more experience behind his belt. But he's going, that guy was probably more experienced or more organized than we are, huh? I'm going, these guys. I told him these guys were so organized. You were. You knew exactly what shots you wanted to get at a particular time. You took care of everybody as far as keeping them warm as you could in the elements that were were upon us.
There's some of the directors at RIT, some of the people making films, don't necessarily have their priorities straight, and they don't approach these films as a producer. This is my job. I mean, what I want to do is actors' safety and comfort is priority number one after, that's getting the movie done and actually shooting what we need to shoot. But, you guys are you're taking your own time out of your life to come and freeze your asses off for me. Of course I'm going to give you some good food, or the best food I can, even if our coffee did freeze.
Well, I don't think you could, you didn't have anything to do with that. Right.
There's no special effects involved with that. No. I guess fair, though, Chris. See, Chris wasn't in the, we shot a second sequence of,
in March.
Movie a few weeks later. The night stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, we'll have much better weather for that. So, of course, it rained. But
damned from
the funny thing is, like, all this bad weather made the movie look that much better, though. There you go. Like, the opening shot, if it wasn't snowing, wouldn't have looked that intense.
That was really cool. I was like, man, they lucked out. Like, it's snowing on the day they filmed. That's awesome. Most people have to incorporate some bad special effects into it, Like fake cold coming out of people's mouths, and it just looks terrible.
No, it was so cold there was no, none of the mist that usually comes out of your mouth.
Wow. It was unbelievably cold. I went home that night, and I had to take an hour-long hot shower to stop shivering. It was, bitter. It was unbelievably bitter.
Yeah, I sat in front of my fake fireplace for an hour. But it was fun.
So in the film you have the alien of the film. Could you kind of go into a little bit of a description of kind of like the process to make your alien, or the concept you came up with for the alien?
All right, so like I said, the whole idea behind this movie is, in my mind at least, I was trying to make it as much of a 40K movie without blatantly saying it or breaking the law. So in the Warhammer universe, there's this alien race called the Tyranids, and they have this kind of stealthy, big, clawed alien thing called the Lictor, and it has really amazing, active camouflage. Think of Predator; it's the best example. Okay, it's kind of like, one of these things is bouncing around and killing these guys. That'd be really cool. So they never really know, what's killing them, or they can never really see it, or whatever. And the original thing is that the only time we ever actually saw the alien was the last shot, or we saw a little piece of it. And that kind of got changed around because my one teacher wanted a motive for the alien to be killing these people, so we had to do a sequence where we go and see the alien has these little baby things crawling around, chewing up some guys.
Oh, whatever. Some people just, want to watch the world burn.
So I was okay. It gave me a reason to do even more effects, and that little sequence was it was a bitch and a half. There was a good 40 hours of composite work done just for that scene. Wow. But it came out pretty decent. It was cool. Yeah, that's how I approached it. Then I gave Steve Lawson, who was kind of our art director in this movie as well, a description of what it should look like. And Steve just went crazy. He actually has a name for the alien. I can't remember it. He's one of those guys. A genus. He wrote out their entire life cycle and how they all operate. And he's the one who built that 2D, kind of stick figure alien in the scene where it appears behind the guy. That was his design. He just built it.
It's kind of like a praying mantis kind of sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me in art school. Like we had a sci-fi illustration class, and one of our assignments was the teacher said, "Okay, go home tonight, and you're going to go out and construct a maquette for an alien that you'll be using in a spaceship, in a painting where the alien is invading the spaceship. It's breaching the hull of the spaceship." So everybody had to go home and then come up with these concepts, whatever, and make a maquette, all the clay on the wire and everything, like the real Hollywood deal. They come back the next day with what they did. So, of course, he gave me this job, and automatically I was like, bing, 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 because I'm a dork. So I was like, wow, you're like giving me the keys to the candy store. So I went home, and I just started busting out crazy shit. I was drawing all these different alien heads and bodies and tentacles and all these different types of things. And finally I came up with this really cool looking thing, I thought. I brought it in the next day, and I painted it and everything. And I brought it in the next day, and everybody came up with like a wad of clay with like an eyeball. Like I like this. It was so bad. Like I don't understand how they get it, but they were so bad. And like I come in with this thing that's painted. Number one, it's painted. No one painted theirs. It's all like realistically proportioned, and it's standing all menacingly, and you know, like everybody else's arms are like falling off, and then all this other stuff. And you know, so we put our stuff up, and everyone. So what's your name? Everyone's like, I don't have a name. What about yours, Tim? He's like, well, I don't have a name for mine. It's just my alien that I made up. Okay, what about you, Will? I had the name of the alien, the species, where the vital organs were on the alien, like where the shell was protecting vital organs in certain spots, like in battle. And everyone was looking at me like, dude, you need to get laid sometime soon, because this is bad. So I'm definitely one of those guys too. So I understand.
But that's my love. I mean, that's the beauty of Steve Lawson. If I could give him an idea, with like the script, I give him an idea. I'm like, Steve, we need to do this. This is kind of how I want it. These are the only things I would like you to put into it. Go crazy. And like within the context of this film, he has the history of the world done in his mind. He knows all the major events that brought us up to this point in time.
Wow.
He knows the backstory of all these secondary characters that like doesn't even matter, but he knows why they're there and what they're doing. And it's that, you know, in depth, you know, just that I have people that I'm working with that will just do these crazy things, and they just do them, and they love doing it. That, you know, I'm able to orchestrate them all together, throw in my own 2 cents, and, you know, out comes a movie.
Cool. So what would you say, Chris? How was your experience working with this gentleman? Did you, this is your first movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the thing. First thing I was ever involved in. Something I did go to college for a year, believe it or not, and I took classes after that, but I don't have any degree, but that has nothing to do with anything. Anyways, I took communications back in 1989 after I got out of high school, and this was during the time. This was pre-computer. So I was taking shit, like I was editing reel-to-reel audio. I was in the black room for, before there was Photoshop. It was just stuff that I wasn't so interested in. And now Mike's doing the stuff that I would be so into if I was his age. Right. It was a cool experience, so that's why I wanted to get into it. That's why I wanted to see what he was doing, because he's doing the stuff that I wanted to do 20 years ago. And I'm jealous, Mike, you bastard. It was a great...
I saw some of your work. You've been doing the video co-pilot tutorials. I saw some of you, a whole bunch of them you posted up.
Yeah, I did something that I get into the green screen and...
Years ago.
What's that?
But those are the exact same things that I was doing, 2 years ago. That's what bought.
Yeah,
all buying.
Mike, I'm 40 years old.
What the hell is a Photoshop?
I'm regressing in age. What I'm saying is I just want to see what you guys are doing now, and it's exciting for me to see it, because I wanted to be doing that. I wish I was 20 now. Because, not that I have a bad life, I've got a home and whatnot, I got a beautiful wife and everything, but it's just, that's why I went to your ad, that's why I went to be a part of your production, because I just wanted to be a part of it, because that's stuff I've been wanting to do, since I was a little kid.
Yeah, we think that actually, that entire, what you just said is what brought a lot of people to this movie, is the fact that we were like,
I don't doubt it.
Hey, we're doing a sci-fi film. You can dress up as a military dude, carry around a fake gun, and pretend you're on some alien planet. And we got like a whole bunch of people that showed up. Were like, yeah, we just want to be extras. We just want to dress up.
Right.
Pretend we're shooting stuff.
It's going to revert back to childhood for a little while.
Well, I wanted more than that.
Nastiness in the world.
I wanted to see what you did. I wanted to see how you put everything together as much as I could.
That's why we gave you a part. We gave you lines and stuff.
It did.
Yeah, which I froze up.
Right after I watched it on Facebook, I was like, dude, I just saw you in the movie. It brought tears to my eyes.
That's so sweet.
I was like, my little Christopher.
I wasn't even nervous, but when it got to me having to actually say lines, there's so much shit that's going through your head. I couldn't say them.
That's all right. It's not like Chris took, any more takes than anyone else. I mean, our main character was played by Ken Dower. There's some takes, where it's not necessarily his fault, but, we took 6 or 7 takes of some of the shots. Where, there's a crew member walking in the background. What the hell? Or he says his line, but the line from the last scene.
Right.
We screw things up all the time. I mean, Chris nailed his line, we took it, but we used.
Same thing happens in...
turned around and broke the prop on a tree.
Well, at least it was the last part. At least it was the last scene.
Yeah, it was the last take.
I broke his toys.
It was so cold and glue just cracked on his backpack. Like, shit. Really? Yeah.
I broke his box. Yeah.
Oh, man, see? They named the title after you because you broke it.
I can't do anything right.
Box, because of Chris, the dumbass who broke it.
Yeah, but in a Hollywood film, you've got rehearsals and Al and I'm not sure about Ken, but I know Al does theater and stuff, right?
Yeah, Ken's resume is 4 pages long. It scared us. He walked in, he was the second guy, and he's like, "Here's my resume of all the plays I've acted in and all the plays I've built sets for."
Wow.
And he's the guy. He's so amazing. He's a great resource, and he's a funny guy. He's the same way you are, Chris. I mean, we're always Ken, we're sorry that you have to be cold all day. He's like, "Are you kidding me? I got these fake pistols, and I'm running down the hill, pretending I'm being chased by a giant alien."
Yeah, I think that was everybody. I don't think anyone gave a shit. No one complained. I mean, like you said, everyone...
No, I mean, of course I felt bad, because I'm marching you guys around in the middle of winter in a golf course, and it's sub-freezing. And I'm like, "Oh, just do it one more time, please."
I think everyone...
We are going to kill you.
There was no one that was complaining. I think everyone ate it up.
No.
So I don't think...
You guys are poised, we're focused. Well, we were organized. The organization was key. I knew what we were doing. And we tried to keep the cast fat and happy with food and non-frozen drinks.
And even lit my cigar. I couldn't light my cigar.
I know, right?
So Mike was over there for 5 minutes trying to light my cigar for me.
Banging 2 rocks together, trying to start it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think you had it bad. Al Young, who was playing the sergeant character, had that nasty cigar in his mouth the entirety of the movie. Unlit after the first 2 minutes.
That was the first day was my cigar man, and then he bought his own cigar the second day.
Have you ever seen a real or smoked a real Cuban? Wow, they're brutal. My friend let me smoke one once.
No.
I like cigars, cheap ones, but he had this real deal. It was literally 12 inches long. It was really thick. It was really, really. And I'm like, people actually enjoy this. I can't even start this thing up. And I tried it, and I took the one pull off of it. And, obviously I didn't inhale it. But I took the one pull off of it, I let it go, and it felt like I did inhale it. It was so huge and smoky, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" Because picture Fidel Castro somehow enjoying that.
Yeah.
But it was, him and his donkey dick cigars, I like to call them affectionately. Those crazy wax cigars, so badass.
Yep.
They do, man. Wolverine's always got one dangling out of his mouth, but he can't lose, really, Yep. Exactly. Nick Fury, he can't even see this. He's got the eye patch on one eye. From smoke going into his eye all the time. It's I can't see, goddammit, that's why I'm cranky.
Oh yeah, Mike goes to a lot of cons too. He does a lot of cosplay and stuff.
You're one of the dudes that gets to go to the really cool ones, like San Diego.
He might go to the New York
ones.
You go to the New York con there?
I go to Icon downstate.
Yep, good old Icon. Yep.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I have time or money to go to.
Is that more like an anime thing?
No, it's a true sci-fi fantasy convention. There's a section there for every conceivable section of the sci-fi fantasy fandom. There's a section there for you.
Cool. Did you ever show a film at any of those, or?
I'm going to try this year. Vox wasn't finished yet.
Definitely should.
I mean, I'm going to try, and I'll try. Who knows?
That'd be perfect, man. You should definitely do it. Definitely. Yeah.
We did get to show it to my hobby store gaming club down on Long Island.
That's a critical audience. So that's actually not even to sound stupid, but it is. I mean, if those guys will like it, then
that's the thing. I've gotten a better response from people. Like, I didn't want to show it to originally people who played Warhammer, because I was like, oh, they're going to be like, oh, this is so stupid. This is not, what I think this should look like at all. But I've gotten the best response at them. Everyone's like, oh, that's exactly how I thought this, and that were. I'm like, that's not even what those were, but whatever. You nailed it.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Those are our people, as I like to say. It sounds almost like a racist, like discriminatory thing, but it isn't. Like, certain people appreciate it more than other people. That's just the way it is, It's just with everything else in life, You like this, you don't like that, Like, either you're really into it or you're really not into it. But our community, like in general, like the fantasy, comic, sci-fi community, is very well receptive to pretty much everybody. I think universally. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what color you are or where you come from, but if you have you share a love for this certain thing in common, and when we all get together, it's like we're very supportive and understanding. Even like the effort it takes to put into something like, some jock isn't going to give a flying fuck if you spent, 7 days out of the frozen fucking tundra and making a $2 movie. They're not going to give a shit. But the geeks are. They're going to be like, well, you did what? And what did you use for guns? And all that stuff. So you guys have a great audience built in, and with a good movie in general, you can get other audiences too, not necessarily just sci-fi. You could reach out and get other people. People that are into action, people that are into this good filmmaking, and you got a lot of good shots in the film, and it was well shot and everything. It wasn't just like a movie. You know what I mean? Like I was telling Chris before, I was like, there's making a movie, then there's like actually thinking about your shots and cutting it together and editing it well and all that stuff. Your movie definitely had that. So so I just wanted to give you some props.
Yeah, no, I mean, we storyboarded, we have like 18 pages of storyboards, and we had 2 or 3 sit-down discussions with the director of photography. How can we shoot this way? What do you think about this shot? And yeah, I had to whore myself out to some seniors so they would rent out some of the senior-only equipment, like we had a jib one day for some of our crane shots, and for the night shoots, we took out some like really powerful, high-intensity HMI lights. So I mean, we had a lot of really good specialized equipment on set to get specific shots that we wanted.
You're fortunate.
You just got to get it out there more.
It's hard to provide us with a lot of great tools. We just have to figure out how to use them the right way.
Exactly. What you do with them, and at the end, and then even if you think you did wrong, sometimes it's like a happy accident, like I like to say, and you're like, holy crap, like that came out so good. I didn't even mean that, and there you go. You're probably complaining when you're making it like, this is going to suck, But then you sit down for that screening, and you're just like, well, damn, it all gelled,
That's how I felt. Not everyone felt that way, but
not everyone's going to be
involved in a project like this. This is so cool. This is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
we actually made this. Word for word from the script, we made exactly what we said we were going to do.
And that's the key right there. That's why it was a good little film to watch. It wasn't just like another movie with aliens and all these people shooting and everything. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's all. That's exactly what as a director, he's not really a director. That's exactly what I want people to sit down and be like, oh, well, that was cool. That was fun. That was nice to see someone else's take on a story that we've all seen before.
Like, I like to think in sci-fi there really isn't too much I haven't seen already. Which is kind of
pretty much,
because sci-fi is supposed to be the future, and it's supposed to be like mind-expanding and different and on the edge, and really everybody's pretty much copying everybody else. I mean, I really don't see like a big difference in things, but it's just the way you'd run with it.
You always hear these sci-fi stories about, it's about this great soldier who's going to be a hero, or it's about this guy who has this crazy power and psionics, a giant gun. And no. Our story is about this medic. Lonely old simple medic. And
don't see that every day.
What are his problems? What are his issues? Has he come to terms with those?
It's actually deep, which is kind of rare.
Yeah, as much as it's, this is cool, this is sci-fi, and there's trenches, it's a trench warfare movie, and there's guns, and big aliens, and, spaceships, and, and get to the end of the film, you're supposed to be like, oh, wow, there was actually, some sort of sentimental meaning behind all that. I actually felt for that character. I feel bad that he had to go through, whatever he had to go through.
Right. I don't even know if you're, are you a G.I. Joe guy at all?
No, not really.
Well, in the old 80s cartoon, there was this character named Red Alert. I think his name, I might be wrong. But anyway, he was a medic on the team, second medic anyway. And he was a pacifist. And whenever they went into, battle or whatever, everybody would be doing their thing, and he'd be, hiding behind the tank, and they'd be, what's the matter with you? And he's just like, this isn't my thing. I'll wait till the guns stop firing, and then I'll do my thing. I thought that was kind of funny. It's kind of like looking through the eyes of these other guys, on the battlefield that aren't fighting. Guys are supposed to look out for your ass, they're doing just as hard a job as the grunts, but not really getting any recognition, So that's kind of cool and refreshing to see a take, looking through a medic's eyes, looking through, maybe even if you're doing a World War II movie, like a Chaplain maybe or something on a battlefield or something like that.
That's the whole thing is he meets up with these not secondary characters, but he does meet up with the Chaplain. And the Chaplain represents, I'm here because God told me to be here idea. Right. And he meets up with, the head medic, who is more of a, we just got to do what we got to do type character. And the sergeant's there, and Commissar Kern's there. There's all these characters who represent different beliefs. And, eventually our main character comes to his own conclusion that, maybe life isn't about death. It's about, what we can do with what time we've been given. And that ultimately affects his decision, in the end of the movie. What does he do to save everyone else that, his own life? What can he do?
With a lot of explosions and stuff in the meantime.
Yes. Many explosions, space satellites, and aliens.
But come on, man, you never have too many explosions. It's crazy. I actually wanted to ask you, I don't know if this was actually kind of covered in the film at all, but from what I remember, but Vox, what exactly was that for the unit, or what was that for, the name Vox?
It comes from the Warhammer game. They have these backpacks called Vox casters. Okay. And it's their communication system. Vox itself is Latin for to speak.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
Well, that's a word that's, based in Latin, so we can't be sued if we use it. And if you know the game at all, Vox is from the game. So that was one of our things where we could put it in there and not have to worry about it.
So, Mike, let me ask you a really dumb question. Not that any of the other questions that I asked you weren't, any more intelligent. Where are you going? Where do you see yourself as a director and a writer? I can tell. No, you really want to produce films, and where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
Well, it's funny. I was asked the same question probably my third day here at RIT in this really bizarre history class. It was American history through the films, but we didn't actually watch any movies. So our teacher is like, what would you want? What's your ultimate goal and dream right now if anything could happen? I raise my hand, and I'm like, well, I would really like it if George Lucas kind of drop-kicked down the door and said, hey, Mike, you want to work for me? And I was like, yeah, let's go out to L.A., make movies. And we did. So I don't actually see that happening, though. My plans are to continue down this kind of production, track, and I want to produce movies. I want to be the guy who's on set, dictating what's going on, making sure we're getting stuff done. Director, doing his own thing or her own thing with the crew. The cast, and making sure that the crew is where they got to be, and that we're getting what we got to do.
Yeah. So you're not necessarily the idea man. You just want to see stuff, other people's ideas through, and then Emily will direct everything.
Basically. Yeah. I'm an idea man. But producers producers a lot of times do still maintain creative opinion. They start out in the pre-production process, and they get to put in their 2 cents. They get to follow through on that when you actually go to production, and then later on into the editing process. A producer, producers get stuck with the stupid movie from its entirety. guy gets to film it. He just films it, then he's gone.
Right.
Director, they might have to stick around. Producers, though, they're stuck with the movie from the get-go to the very end. There you go.
All right. Well, you got anything else there, Fanboy Will? Any other stimulating
I'm pretty much
questions?
I'm questioned out. Yeah, I'm questioned out, my friend.
All right. Well,
That's okay. I've said a lot. I've explained a lot. And, it was really nice to hear what you guys had to say about, what me and Emily and the rest of the crew did.
All right, Mike. Well,
I really like to thank you guys for having me on the podcast. And
absolutely. Thanks for talking.
Having you, man.
I'm sure I'll bug you on Facebook.
No, I'm sure you will, because you're probably going to end up being in our thesis film. This time we'll actually show you on screen.
That'd be awesome, too.
I can't wait to see it, man. I hope it all turns out well, I want to see that thesis film and looking forward to it.
Well, it will turn out well. That's what I've been told by.
There you go. Confidence.
By Emily and everyone else in the crew.
Very nice.
I appreciate if I can be any much a part of it. I'd really appreciate it, even as a red shirt.
Oh no, we appreciate the actors. They're the ones who make this happen.
Very good.
Very good.
All right, thanks, Mike. Thanks for
take care, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks for letting us bump this up a little bit. I like to have my mouthpiece with me, Will. I'm kind of the behind-the-scenes technical guy, and he's good with the gab, so it always works out good that way.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
All right, have a good night.
And we'll see you guys around.
All right, take care.
Take care, bro.